Hey all of you out there in Eorzea, welcome to She Heals, I Tank, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Today is Friday, November 20th, and this is episode 242 of the Shit Podcast. I'm your host, Vegan Pete, and always by my side, the lovely...
Hey guys, Avi Ale here. I have a hair in my eye, so I'm like a crazy person on stream right now.
Well, besides that, I went out old school. I hit you with the lovely. Thank you so much for being here, Avi. Thank you to everyone joining us here live, twitch.tv/SheHealsITank. Always love seeing you all in chat. If you've never made it for a live show, I recommend you try us out. Give us a shot. See if you like it. But if you can't, that's understandable. So thank you if you're listening to the podcast after it's already been recorded live, whether you're downloading from your favorite app or watching on YouTube. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our subs from last week. We have Krev LM, who was gifted a sub from Chicken Slash. That was when Krev was nice enough to hit us with a raid this week, just yesterday. So first time sub Krev. Then we have Buttery Crumpets for 2 months, Nomad NP for 11 months, Adeline for 11 months, Crow623 hitting that 1 year mark, Cater Pants for 15 months, Jessa 17 months, Aja 30 for 35 months, and Batkid was nice enough to gift another sub in the channel just before we started.
So Pete, you're just gonna have to do the outline yourself because I'm gonna keep the stream open this entire time and just laugh at your Apkallu minion who like comes in the middle of stream like he's the one talking. This is like the funniest thing I've seen all day for some reason, and it makes me so happy.
Well, I'm glad I have achieved something in game that you appreciate.
I like the Apkallu minion on its own. Sure, whatever, but this adorable little green penguin thing running around like he's trying to be on the podcast is just like perfection for me right now. I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm gonna need you to do a little something for me, Avi, because it's time for everyone's favorite segment,
Apkallu Minute.
Give the people what they want.
Greenleaf Minute.
It's the Greenleaf Minute, and this week I want to talk about unlocking Crystal Tower. I occasionally see posts about not being able to do the Shadowbringers MSQ in patch 5.3 because they never did Crystal Tower. But something I see even more than that is people that don't have Alliance Raid Roulette unlocked because they have not done Crystal Tower. And Alliance Raid Roulette is a really, really good experience. You level really fast by throwing that in when you can. Avi's still broken from the minion.
He's like right at the front, like he's like talking and pretending to be Pete, and I'm just like making me cry.
Are you okay? Are you having a breakdown right now?
I don't know. It synced up perfectly. It was so funny. I'm legit crying right now. Oh, it's so funny.
Has it been like an extra long week for you?
Yeah.
You're just like letting it all out right now?
Oh my god. So this is like almost enough to make me want to go and do the freaking A Realm Reborn, all of the sightseeing log stuff, so I can just have this stupid minion.
The awesome Austin said, where do you get that minion? You get that minion from completing all of your A Realm Reborn sightseeing logs.
Oh my god, I love him so much. God damn it.
So that's a little bonus Greenleaf Minute for you, how to get that minion. But as I was saying about unlocking Alliance Roulette, you really should do it because it's excellent XP for you. To do this, you need to have finished the main story quest, The Ultimate Weapon. Then in Mordana, you should be able to pick up the quest Legacy of Allag from the Outlandish Man. That will lead into the quest Sanding It Down, then a Performance for the Ages, then Labyrinth of the Ancients. That quest unlocks Labyrinth of the Ancients, and that is the first 24-man raid, also known as an Alliance raid. And Awesome Austin with that sub for now 13 months. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But just unlocking Labyrinth of the Ancients doesn't quite do it yet. You're going to need to do Labyrinth of the Ancients and then pick up the next quest, which is from Grahatia in Mordana, and the quest is called For Prosperity. That will lead into the quest Circus Tower, which will unlock the next Alliance raid, Circus Tower. Once you have that unlocked, you'll be able to queue for the Alliance raid roulette. So you're actually able to queue for it before you actually complete Circus Tower. So you can queue for that, and then maybe you'll get Circus Tower and knock it out at the same time as getting that bonus Alliance raid roulette bonus. The next quest will unlock the World of Darkness, and that is the last Alliance raid for A Realm Reborn. And like I mentioned, you need to have done them to do the MSQ for patch 5.3, so you might as well get them done sooner than later so you can take advantage of all that awesome experience. You back with us, Avi?
No. I love him so much.
Well, the community roundup's gonna help you achieve that minion then, Avi.
Oh, it's so good. Sorry, I know this isn't great podcast content.
Crumpets says, Pete, we love you, but understand you have been shown up on podcast by a string of code with a smile and a beat.
He's so fucking cute. God damn it.
Well, thank you for listening to that Greenleaf Minute, Avi.
Oh yeah, I totally heard everything you said.
We'll get to Avi's favorite segment of the show. It's the tweet of the week. It is the tweet of the week, and this week it's not a singular tweet, but I wanted to talk about the screenshot contest that we talked about last week again. It's ended now, and I did submit my shot from atop Kugani Tower, but if you want to see some really cool screenshots, head on over to Twitter and search the hashtag FaveZone Sweepstakes and scroll through all the amazing screenshots that were submitted for this contest. I went through them, and probably not all of them, but I went through a lot of them, and it was really fun seeing all the places that people went, all their favorite zones in the game, for them to take a picture for this contest. So I recommend doing it. Maybe inspire some people to take some awesome screenshots, because there's some amazing ones in there.
Is this why you've been so obsessed with the Kugani Tower all week? Or last week? Or
that's why I was getting to the top of Kugani Tower for the screenshot. I did it.
I get it. Sorry, the chats now make fun of me that I have to be introduced every week as Apkallu Ale.
I like that one. That's happening.
The power of Apkallu. Avi didn't grimace at that sound effect. No, I was still riding high on the cute little bird. I had to turn away, but I keep going back to the stream so I can just get another shot of him.
All right.
God.
Now it's time for news and notes from around the realm. And why don't you read this, Avi? Take your eyes off the Apkallu.
I know you're doing it so I can't laugh anymore. So there is currently a Final Fantasy XIV Online Store sale going on right now. They are dubbing it the Heaven's Wardrobe Sale.
Ba-dum-bum.
Ha, ha, ha. To commemorate the expansion of the free trial through the Heavensward expansion, they have some Heavensward glamour gear on sale for 30% off. So you're going to be able to pick up Amaryk's attire, Ward Knight's attire, Ward Mage's attire, and Armory of the Heavensward arms for Lancer, Marauder, Gladiator, Conjurer, Dark Knight, and Thaumaturge. Honestly, I don't think any of this is really worth the money. I didn't like any. Amaryk's attire is the only one that's any good, and I'm pretty sure it's gender locked. Not positive, but I'm pretty sure I'd have to check on that.
Yeah, I didn't look that up, but so
the rest of them are like lame.
Was $15 now, $10.50 if you want a Amaryk's attire.
Yeah, that's the only one, like, in my opinion. I mean, if you want to cosplay or whatever as the Heavensward, I don't know. It was like, it is gender locked. Thank you, Esper. I thought it was. I kind of have a tendency to go, oh, gender locked. Okay, I'm not going to think about it again since I can't use it. So the last things we mentioned are actually all weapons for particular jobs.
That's kind of disappointing because I feel like his gear would look just fine on a female character.
So it is hairstyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very much so. There's honestly, Pete, every piece of gear would look great on every gender and every race. So there is no reason to gender lock any of it. So there's that.
Agree.
In addition to the sale, there are now also new items in the store where you can pick up 3 new orchestrion roles, which include I Am the Sea, which is piano collections, Whalers and Water Wheels, again, piano, and A New Hope, piano collections. I guess they should have just said that at the end. They're all piano collections, which I actually really like those personally. I think those sound really nice in the house. I like very chill FC house music. So
I think those are going to run you $5 a piece.
ooh, they're getting ya. That's why you let different people in the FC buy those if you're lucky enough to have a free company house, and then that way you can all put them on the orchestrion roll in the FC house, and then they can add the music, and then that way you can enjoy it with one person buying it.
That's a pretty good plan.
Yeah, KKMacleod purchased the Oblivion one, and it's my favorite song in the FC house. Like, if he ever leaves, I might actually spend the money to get that because I will miss it.
Well, take advantage of that sale if you are so inclined.
And back to the Apkallu.
The special site for patch 5.4 is now live, and we found out the name of the patch. It's being called Futures Rewritten.
Didn't we already know that?
I don't know.
We already knew that.
Did we already know that?
We already knew that.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Were you paying attention to a previous podcast?
Maybe.
The main artwork for the patch features Irene and Gaia holding hands. They're besties now. I didn't take time to go examine each of the little memory pictures in the background, so I don't know if that's giving us hints to anything, but I didn't think it was really. It
doesn't really look like it. It's just a bunch of glamour shots.
Yeah, not foreshadowing anything.
Honestly, I mean, it's a pretty picture, but again, they're teenagers, they're young girls. I feel like it's a little sexualized with the positions. She's got her hand on her chest. It just is. I don't know. I feel like they could have made them look a little more innocent without looking like come hither. But that's just me.
With you look innocent when you're wearing thigh highs?
Yeah, it's valid. That is valid. But I just don't like children being sold with sex.
I don't like children being sold at all.
Well, yeah, but I mean, movies is selling the children, like Home Alone. That's But anyways, yeah.
So the blurb for the MSQ reads, with Elidibus defeated and the fate of the First secured, the Scions make their long-awaited return to the source. But in the new future, they now look towards that which is written upon the pages of history be an anthem of hope. I don't like the way that ran together. Or a dirge of despair. And a couple other pictures we got with this is the Alphino twins, the Alphino and Alice twins. Alphino's helping Alice. Can't really tell what that background is.
See, Alphino and Alice, two not overly sexualized teenagers in the game. And she is wearing thigh highs, and I actually think he might be too. Just saying, that's how you do it.
Yep, just cover everything up. And the other picture we get with this one I'm sure we've seen before. I remember seeing this one.
Mm-hmm.
Amaric's there, one of the Vanu or Gundu, I forget what they're called. Livia, Junis, I think, and then Warrior of Light.
As a Dark Knight.
Think this is probably an Ishgard?
You think? With all of those characters you just listed?
Just a hunch.
You think?
Just a hunch.
Maybe.
We're getting the next part of the Eden Raid series. This is Eden's Promise, and the preview reads, Reen and her mysterious counterpart Gaia have succeeded in restoring balance to the elements of the empty. Much of the credit goes to the Warrior of Light, whom they invite to observe whether life continues to flourish in the once barren desert, while the flame of hope burns brighter than ever. This tale is far from over. And we really don't get much of a preview on this one. It looks like she's holding a little aetherite,
crystal. Yeah,
pendant.
But it's like a piece of jewelry is what it looks like. The top looks like it has a little metal kind of clasp attached to it.
Looks like a pendant that would hang off a necklace. I feel
like we saw that in story before, and now I feel like a jerk for not remembering it. But she is very, very Ultimisia. Disco saying, come on, Ultimisia. Oh.
She hasn't played it. She doesn't know what Ultimisia is.
I don't. I apologize. But you have, so you should be able to comment on that.
Yes, and I cheated during that part.
Well, can you comment on it then, since I don't know what you're talking about?
It was hard as fuck to beat.
The end of the last raid. Oh, for Shiva. Okay. Nobody really explained that to me, but sure, I'll go with that.
I don't know how it relates to that, but I know Ultimisia from Final Fantasy, what was it? 6? I don't remember. 8. New dungeon. We know the name of this. It's called Matoya's Relict, and the description for this goes: the Maker's Quarter was once home to some of the finest crafters Eorzea had ever seen, but it has lain in forgotten ruins since the Charlayan Exodus. It is there, hidden amongst overgrown foliage, that the entrance to the former workshop of the Archon Matoya can be found. And so this is the first time we've got any actual in-game pictures of this. Previously, we had just the piece of artwork. So this first picture is what I think is closest to that piece of artwork that we got previously. And I think it looks pretty cool. I'm into the design of it, all the books.
The books feel a little lost to me compared. Like I know that's just background details, but the piles of books, I don't know, I feel like they could have used a little bit more variation. They look just like piles of paper almost.
Well, you gotta have the open floor because that's where all the mobs go.
No, I get that. It just because they just look like piles of paper, it loses the like library aesthetic a bit to me. Hopefully it'll look better in game, but I mean they almost look like bricks. Like it doesn't really read like books as much like it did. I don't mean like the shelving of books like that I can see as books, but like the piles of books, which we have tons of those piles of books in game already. So I don't know how they like. I don't know. Again, it's just the image. Maybe it's gonna look better in game,
in person.
Yeah, I don't love this as much as the concept art actually. They put a lot of effort into the little like the hearth that looks like a witch's hat, which is cool, but not a lot into anything else.
That'd be a cool like housing item for your garden. Now we have
it's an indoor hearth bed.
The next picture with this cute little ghost thing.
Ghost sperm.
Oh, it doesn't have a long enough tail for a ghost sperm. And it almost reminds me kind of a mouse, like those ears.
So it's a mouse sperm ghost.
One of the cutest damn mobs I've ever seen.
So he's got like a little
game.
wand, and there's a music note next to it. It is pretty cute. I don't know if it's the cutest I've ever seen in the game. It doesn't have anything against this like green Apkallu that I'm not able to see right now.
Like enemy mob. Pretty damn cute. I'm gonna feel bad killing this thing, but I'll still kill it.
I mean, it might not be something you kill. It might be like assisting or something. But yeah, it's playing music.
We look like we have our weapons drawn against it.
No, it's behind us.
I don't know. The next part is the Sorrow of Warlet. And they tease this as follows: Gaius and the Warrior of Light are another step closer to thwarting the Empire's War Machina development project after vanquishing the Sapphire weapon. However, newly unearthed information alludes to another foe lurking in the shadows, and you must take decisive action before it's too late. And so, yes, this is the storyline where we're murdering orphans. Anything to add to this? Last time we didn't get a trial. We had like a single player instance. I think this time we are getting a trial for this. And I forget what's left. I never played Final Fantasy VII. I think Emerald and Diamond are left, so I don't know which one we're going to.
Probably Emerald before Diamond would be my guess.
I don't know, but are we going to get another one in 5.5?
I mean, I feel like if they've started this, they're going to finish it. Like, yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy XIV is essentially a fan service for all the other Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, but they can always leave one out.
I don't think they will. I think that's silly to even think that they will. It'll upset people.
Wouldn't put it past them. So yeah, that's all that we got that they actually wrote little snippets for. But other things we are getting is a new trial, Castrum Marianum. I don't know if that's part of the Sorrow of Warlet one. We have Save the Queen, Pass to Rest. So that's going to be the next part of like your relic weapon. New large-scale battle, Delibrum Reginae. And from what I hear, that's going...
What was that?
Reginae?
Okay.
Regina?
No, it was interesting. I'd lost where you were.
That's going to be what I think is like Ozma. There's going to be a Blue Mage update, Ishgardian Restoration updates, new Unreal Trial. So we're going to move on from Shiva Unreal. We're going to have something else to do.
So what do you think the Blue Mage update is going to be?
I think they're getting the level cap increase.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that already happened or not. I don't play Blue Mage.
I don't believe so. I think it's just 1 through 60. I'm not actually. I don't really play it either. But I'm. And then for Restoration of Ishgard updates, level cap 70 is incoming. And I'm just trying to discuss this stuff that Pete just like listed quickly rather than just like read it off. The Ishgard Restoration update. Do you think that's actually just going to be housing, or is that going to be the next challenge?
Yeah, that's not going to be housing. I think it's just going to be the new Restoration of Ishgard competition for crafters and gatherers.
Do you think it'll be anything other than that? Like, are we going to progress the restoration further?
We'll keep on progressing that. But
I mean, what more is there really to progress in the restoration? Like, what is the zone missing?
I don't know. Restrooms. I never see a restroom anywhere. Maybe they're gonna add a couple of those.
Gotta get rid of the porta potties.
Maybe a food court. I think they still got some work to do. Yeah, I remember running around. There's still some rubble in there. We got to clean up the place before we can open it up to all the masses. But yeah, so that will probably mean new things to gather in the diadem to use for the new.
Satar just said we still have the northern third of the zone to build, but what is going to go in that northern third is what I
more houses.
Essentially, is it just going to be more houses, or are we going to get like Ulda has like a lot of them have like a water feature, but it's so cold in Ishgard. I don't think we'll get a water feature. So like, what are we going to get?
Well, it's all like the crafters that are there. Maybe we can engineer like a hot spring or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Kugani has a hot spring.
Yeah, Kugani's not housing.
Okay. Just saying. All right, but okay.
But we're going to have to engineer one. It's not going to be a naturally occurring one.
You think the one in Ishgard is like a bathhouse? I don't know if that's a naturally occurring hot spring, but we can go with whatever.
They built around it. I talked to the manager.
Oh, okay. And then for the Unreal trial, what do you think? What do you think? Like, genuinely think?
What do I think, or what do I want?
Well, first, what do you think?
You know, I think I really think my think and want are actually the same thing on this one. People have tried to talk me out of it, saying it's not going to be Titan, but I feel like since Yoshida said he originally wanted to do Titan first and was kind of talked out of it because people are having PTSD of lag they had during Titan. I'm not sure if they ever got around of maybe like playing around with it, so maybe they already had a little bit of work done with that before they made the switch to Shiva. I don't know. I'd like to see Titan though, because I feel like that was a really good difficulty when it was first released.
I actually agree. I want it to be Titan as well. But I don't know that it will be Titan because of the fact that they're talking about that the Shiva version was too hard for players. So I actually think they are not going to make him as difficult as the Shiva one was. So then that makes me worry that it won't be Titan that they release.
Yoshida said it was too hard?
I thought we talked about how like because they made it not as approachable for players as they wanted because people aren't doing it to the level that they'd hoped for.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh.
I should listen to the podcast. A new Sky Steel tool update that is absolutely boring to me.
Hopefully they fix it.
Unless they add hard recipes to make our tools. I'm not into making 50 of the same item from macro. That is absolutely boring to me. Treasure hunt update. I don't know if this is actually like a new system.
That's what I was going to ask. What is treasure hunt?
I think that's the maps.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that's going to be a whole new thing, or they're just adding new stuff into the loot table. I think we're going to have to wait for the preview part 2. Oh, it's going to be the roulette style map for the new zone, probably.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
Ocean fishing update. They could add new fish, new routes.
Hopefully not new fish, hopefully just new routes. There's no reason to add any more fish to this game.
But unless they add new rewards, I don't see why anyone who already has the rewards would do this.
I mean, if they're doing an update, there will likely be new rewards. Like maybe a new reward or maybe a new title or something. Like I don't think they're just going to add, like they understand that if they're adding new content, they also have to like dangle the carrot for you to do it as well. So I expect there to be some sort of a reward.
Well, I hope so, because unless you're using it to level, which is still really good XP for leveling, but when you've already leveled, you already got the rewards, you gotta add something else if you're gonna update it. Triple Triad update. I forgot what they said they were gonna do with this one in the live letter.
I don't play it, so I don't pay attention. Apologize. And then there's a Mahjong update.
I think that's mostly like UI, and they're adding a quick match mode.
They're doing Explorer mode. What is Explorer mode? Pete, how am I not remembering this?
That is when you can go into a dungeon to take screenshots.
That's why I'm not remembering it, because it's not something I will ever do. Performance update. I'm really not hyped for this patch, I gotta say.
I'm excited for the stuff we talked about earlier, like that we actually had blurbs on. I'm looking forward to the new raid series and the new trial.
I'm looking forward to the new raid series. I personally haven't really loved the Sorrow of Roulette, so I'm literally only looking forward to the new raid series. And so with this list of things, that feels really disappointing to me.
I want Gaius to redeem himself in death. So hopefully they can do that. Performance update. I was like actually kind of excited at first because I thought it was like they've optimized the game or something like that, and then I realized, oh yeah, there's a thing in the game called performance, so they're probably just adding a new instrument for them to play.
Yep. And then there's new Gameplay Plus update as well, which means they're going to be adding more content to it. I don't know, Pete, I was like, with it listed out like this, like exactly what's happening in a very concise way, I don't do any of this.
You do Unreal Trial.
Okay.
Are you talking about like all the ones we like, the
Pretty
ones
much.
we had the preview for?
No, like the list down here. Like, you don't need to go and tell me what I do. I obviously know what I do. But when there's a list of over a dozen items and I do 2 of those, like that's not, you know.
You do Unreal Trial.
I don't.
You do
But
Ishgardian
if it's
Restoration a little bit.
No, I don't give a fuck about Ishgardian Restoration. If the new Unreal Trial is something like Leviathan, I hated Leviathan. I never enjoyed that fight. Like if it comes out and it's Leviathan, I'm gonna be like, I don't want to do it. Like I don't know. I'm really disappointed in this patch. The content they're releasing. It just very much feels like not for me.
If they did Leviathan, but it was like a checkerboard with half of the pieces knocked out and you could fall,
then it wouldn't be Leviathan. Then we've already had Leviathan reimagined. We don't need to reimagine reimagining. Like, no. I don't know. I gotta say, I'm not hyped. I'm really not hyped. And
you'll do Save the Queen. That's the relic. But both of us have been a little bit underwhelmed with we enjoyed the story of Bozja, but afterwards
I enjoyed part of the story. I'd have to say like 75% of the story I didn't enjoy. The last like bit of it was like, okay, now it's getting interesting.
But the first part, when we had like the solo instance with Sid, that was really good. We both really liked that.
I'm just talking about the last.
On the last one, it took a little while to get going.
I don't know. You don't like. I mean, we do a podcast here, Pete. I don't need to come in and just be like, oh my God, I'm so excited. There's new content coming.
I know, but
like, I need to be able to share my,
pointing out what you do though.
I know what I do. And you don't, don't do. I know what I play. And I know, like, if I go through new trial, I'll probably do that. I don't really care about doing those. Save the Queen, I might do it unless, we start doing raiding and that weapon's better. Then I don't really care. Large scale battle, okay. Blue Mage, no. Ishgard, no. Unreal, maybe. Skystool, no. Treasure Hunt, if other people want to do it. Ocean Fishing, no. Triple Triad, no. Domon Mahjong, no. Explorer mode, no. Performance, no.
Mount.
New Game Plus, no. Like, literally, it's just so many no's that I'm like, I feel like they're designing the game for people that don't play like I do.
Well, what do you remember doing that they don't do now?
You can't just put me on the spot. Like, I just...
All right. Hit me with the lore question then, Avi.
Oh no, I thought that was something we could discuss, but Pete's like, we need to change the
Well,
subject.
you were like, don't put me on the spot, so I didn't want to put you on the
you
spot.
could talk about it, but like, I don't know off the top of my head.
Because it doesn't really seem like they're not giving us what we got in the past. They're not giving us as much as what we got in the past. So I definitely think we get overdoing expert roulette a lot quicker because there's only one new dungeon every patch. I think that there's definitely an argument that what we've gotten in replace of the new dungeons hasn't been...
That's my problem.
It's hard to say because some of the stuff I do like. There has been a patch where we got like an extra trial.
Well, I think the reason a lot of the stuff that has been added is stuff that you like is because it feels like the stuff that has been added to the game is the way you play the game. It's a lot of fishing. It's a lot of crafting. It's like little side games like Mahjong and Triple Triad, which even when Triple Triad first came out, I like played it in Golden Saucer and I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah, she doesn't like card games.
I mean, I like some in person, but I'm really picky. And so I think that maybe those are the elements that they implemented in the game that were popular with other players like you. And, I feel like they're going in that direction. And so I feel like the content that I actually want to play is getting less and less and less. And it's kind of sad for me.
Yeah, I would like at least one more dungeon, at least every other patch. I'd love 2 dungeons a patch.
I like new dungeons. I really did enjoy new dungeons. That for me was fun. That kept me doing my expert roulette. Like, when I get one new dungeon, I actually don't even care about doing my expert roulette because I get sick of it so fast.
And really, the Eden raid series keeps my attention because we do Savage and we're not like expert raiders or anything like that, so we're not over it really quickly.
Right.
But if you just did normal, I think I'd get pretty bored with that pretty quick.
Yeah, like a lot of people. And I didn't until recently. I started doing Savage because I didn't have content to do in the game. like it just because I was running out of things that like the things I wanted to do felt less and less and less. So now I'm doing Savage because I at least like raiding like that.
And going back to Relic Weapon, even though you and I both enjoyed that first part, a lot of people complained that it was too quick, which I can definitely see. But I was like, okay, hold on. The second part's going to be a lot more grindy. And it was more grindy than the first part. But a lot of people were done in the first couple days with it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like a big step up time-wise. I did that fairly casually, and I was done with mine.
People finished it in a day.
In a week and a half.
No, but people like if you just put a little bit extra effort into it, and you went out and you did it by fates, you were done in a day. So yeah, it's just KK says that Chili told his buddy Yoshi P to not put a lot of content in the game so that I would join the raid group. That was the entire intent of the lack of content I play. I don't know. I just am trying to just verbalize that I'm disappointed. I'm just
I do agree that a lot of the stuff right now is only holding people's attention if they like to get everything for every job.
Yeah.
And I don't even level every job, let alone try to deck out all of them in gear. That just seems like busy work, and my time is more valuable to do other stuff with it.
I think I liked to adventure in Final Fantasy XIV. I liked to go out and do dungeons, and I like to, do the raids, and and even like Eureka at the beginning felt very adventure-y, and then it became like just a grind. And KK's like, you haven't unlocked every job. I have one job I haven't unlocked, KK, so like that's just, and it's a tank, so
yeah, I've got a couple I haven't even unlocked yet.
Because I'm not a completionist. I know I don't like tanks, so why is like magically Gunbreaker going to be the tank that I think just changes it for me? I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't know, I'm just kind of sad. All right, but anyways, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer. I just was hoping, I don't know, for one more thing I'd be excited for. I enjoyed treasure maps, but now it's more of the same. So you're only doing the treasure maps now so that you can get the glamour items, and if you just wait, they'll be cheaper.
And you're kind of in the same boat I am on that, where it doesn't really feel like we need to do treasure maps anymore because we have plenty of gil for anything that you would want.
Yeah. Well, and I don't need to be one of the people that has the things at the beginning. I think if treasure maps had things, I don't know, that were felt more like before you could get the elephant minion at the end, and you could only get it if you did that. And I think that it should also not be sellable. I think it was sellable. You could sell it on the market board, but if there was something that they kind of tied to it where it's an adventure doing the treasure maps because they are fun, but then if there was like, you know, like not a title, but like a minion that you could only get from doing it, or a mount you could only get from doing it that you can't sell, and I would enjoy that. I would like that. I don't know.
I also think they have to have more open world content as well, more fates like Ixion to get people excited about going and doing fates like that. But that also depends upon what server you're on, because I remember that I thought those were great, but when we played on Adamantoise and before you could, you know, visit other servers, it was really hard. I was never able to do the Fox fate because we never had enough people, and then when we moved to Gilgamesh, I was able to actually do those fates. So it's like you have to know where to be to do that as well. It'd be nice if it wasn't so random and there's something you could do to actually pop those fates. That way you could like set up a party finder group and be like, hey, let's get this done. Then you get your group, go pop the fate, and you go do it.
Yeah.
They need to figure out something for open world, I think.
That would be nice.
I don't know what it is right now, but I did my sightseeing log this week, and it was kind of nice being out in the open world, seeing people.
You can do it on my character now, so I can have the little Apkallu minion.
It was fun flying around the open world.
I actually, like, that is now something that interests me, because the minion, you can't buy it, and it made me really happy to watch it run around and look all adorable like that. So like that, not that minions are the only thing to get me to do stuff, but I don't know. Which I know that's been in the game for ages, and I just didn't realize that it was cute, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll do it. We'll see.
Maybe you can do Lords of Verminion to finally get that penguin minion.
Well, I never did the sightseeing log because I'm not good at jumping games, and a lot of the sightseeing log was jumping
for A Realm Reborn.
A Realm Reborn, and so I actually never pursued it because I was never good at it. I would just get mad, and so that's what kept me from doing it in the past. And now that you can fly in those zones, it simplifies the one piece of it that I like just was never good at, and so I didn't do it because of that.
Some you do still have to jump.
Well, that's when I go, Baba, make her jump, or jump up there and let me ring to you.
The most annoying part is that it's during certain times and during certain weather.
Yeah.
So sometimes it pops, and depending on the time, you only have like 2 minutes to get there and do the jumping puzzle. Luckily, flying helps just getting there in a little quicker time.
That's true. You don't have to sit there and camp it.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right. So everything I feel like has been a little bit off. We're talking about this week, kind of mentioning that. So is this week's lore question. This week's lore question is from Sayo, who says they left a little note.
Is this a new one or
this is a new one?
Okay.
This is not exactly a lore question, but I keep hearing on the podcast about how much Pete thinks glamour and G-pose is the shit. What? Trademark. So I wanted to test his abilities about this lovely tool. So with
I think it's cool, or I think it's shit.
With the shit. It's a joke. So, with the G-pose, we have the ability to capture motions and the world around us, but also to manipulate the surroundings a tiny bit.
And stickers.
So here's the question for Pete. How many additional light sources can we add to the scene? A1, B3, C4, or D5?
If you would have had 2, you might have got me, but I think it's 3.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure it's 3.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. I've played around enough with it to know that.
I was curious. I was like, I wonder if he's going to know this.
If you would have added in 2, I would have gone back and forth between 2 and 3, but initially my brain said 3.
I just thought it was cute. Sayo actually messaged me and asked if it would be okay if they sent a like a G-pose question that wasn't necessarily lore related, but they wanted to ask you a question regards to G-pose to see if you would be able to answer it, because it's something that they love in games so much. And I said, of course. Yeah, I've played around with it a little bit, so I'm horribly inept at taking good pictures in G-pose. It's true. But he can't even, when he's like setting up the scene for when we're streaming, I was like, move the camera down, and he moves the camera up every time. It's that inverse control. Down and center, like move the camera down and center. Doesn't click for him. Well, another lore question that I've gotten right. But you actually got this one right, and it wasn't actually lore.
I've actually got
so
them all right.
it's more like a question you got right.
Let's move on to a little discussion, Avi. Last week, I wanted to talk about gill syncs, and I was going to do that after we had the interview with Yoshida about the in-game economy.
So exciting.
Avi sank that ship by poo-pooing all over that interview discussion. But I still do want to talk about
Wait. I do have to bring
syncs.
up, and that's because I said, Pete, we had talked about it for half an hour, and he still attests that we'd talk about it for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I said, I think that's because when you enjoy talking about something, it feels like 3 minutes. But when you don't, you're watching the clock and you realize it's actually half an hour.
No, it was like 5 minutes. So we just won't tie it back into the economy, but I think it's worth going over some gill syncs that we might like in the game. So what are gill syncs? I take this to mean as things to spend your gill on that actually take some gill out of the economy. So that isn't like just the market board.
No, it's not the market board at all.
Well, a little bit because
it doesn't take it out of game.
You do get taxed from the market board that goes out of the game.
Valid.
But that gill just transfers from one player to another, so you're just moving it around.
Yeah.
Like I said, with a small amount being taken out as a tax. So if you're at the point where I am right now, and you to a little lesser extent, you already have a house, you have the ability to craft or buy any of the glamour you want, there doesn't seem much in the game for you to spend your gill on. And I kind of think that adds to what we were talking about earlier, in like there's not a lot to do sometimes, it feels like.
Disco Cup called you the 1%.
There's definitely people with way more than me, but I might be at like the bottom end of the 1%.
Oh my god, you sound like such a rich douche. Like,
I might be there.
I'm not in the billionaire club, I'm just in the millionaire club. So
I am. I'm just over the amount
I don't have that much money. I'm not like Steve Bezos.
Where I'd get hit with the wealth tax. So yeah, I haven't felt the need to earn any gill in a really long time. And I've talked about it on some of the streams. I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast yet. I plan on giving away all my gill in the near future and starting over making that gill.
But the reason for this is kind of what I was bringing up with the stuff coming out in the expansion, and it's because you're actually making content for yourself in the game. You're doing this like to prove a point where you don't want to level a new character, but you want to prove that you can make your gill back just by crafting.
Yeah, and that's why I started a crafter on another character, because people were complaining about it being too expensive, and I'm like, no, you just make one of everything in the beginning, you make tons of money.
So I just find this interesting that it like kind of comes back to, you know, like it's very interesting when people sort of like when you start making your own fun within an MMO. I actually think it's really cool, but it's an interesting
making
dynamic.
your own fun definitely is a part of MMOs.
Yeah,
like we don't do it too much anymore, but we used to do like costume contests, so that would be something that we could do in the game. But at the same time, Square Enix needs to give us some content as well.
Yes. It's only so long you can do that. I mean, I've been gathering gifts to give out to the FC. It's why I've been sending out those submarines. I've been putting effort in on that side.
I asked you if we could do some sort of advent calendar where we give something away each day.
I don't know how that would work though. So I have an idea. I just need to implement. Not that idea, but I have an idea.
She's like, not your shitty idea. I've got an idea.
Not your idea that doesn't actually have a function in game to do.
But yeah, so there doesn't seem to be much to spend our gill on at the moment. And that kind of makes my gill feel worthless to me, which is why I'm giving it away. And I'm just kind of curious as well how easy or hard it's going to be to make back that gill. And I'm selling all of my crafting like not my gear, but I'm selling all like I was stacked up on so many ingots and ores that I never had to go gather anymore.
Yeah, so he's not just like getting rid of all of his gill, he's getting rid of all of his mats as well, so that he's like fully, which I honestly don't understand why he just doesn't start a new character, and if he doesn't want to level, just do like a job skip. But you know, this is Pete and he does things his own way.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm curious if you just like had a job that had all the gatherers and crafters leveled, how long does it actually take to like make a significant amount of gill? I haven't done that in a long time. Like when we first started and we were saving for the first house, I was making crafting stuff to sell like crazy, and I was making a lot of gil that way.
Putting effort into it. Yeah. I mean, it's not hard to make gil in the game. You just have to actively put effort into it. Yeah. That's it. I mean, that's any game, really. I mean, if you're playing like a single player game, you're playing Witcher, you just run around and collect shit and kill a bunch of things, and then you go to the vendor and sell it, and you do that a lot, and then you got a lot of gold. Like, any game, you put effort into making gold, you'll make gold. You just have to, like, shift your prerogative.
Priorities. So let's talk about gil sinks that are currently in the game. Housing is definitely a gil sink. You're buying the house, you're buying decorations, some of which are only from vendors. You know, some of them are from the market board. You have teleportation fees. Those are pretty small, though, to the majority of the population, I would think. They might affect you early on in the game, but once you're basically leveled to 50, they're pretty much nothing for you. There are some vendor items. None of them are too expensive. You might buy a piece of gear here and there to fill in a piece you didn't get from a dungeon and you want to just move on. But most of your gear comes from dungeon drops or tomes. Beyond that, I don't know what other things you would consider a gil sink in here.
I feel like, well, no, I was going to say it used to be materia, but materia you could always get on the market board. And now you like don't even need gil to get materia. So it's like, that's what I was thinking, but
they've made materia much easier to get.
You would spend gil on materia, but it didn't actually take it out of the game. But that was something that was expensive for people. I remember you being like, the overmelding was really expensive and you were getting upset about how much you were spending on that. Well, it doesn't take it out of the game. It at least redistributed it. And is that still though something that's expensive, right?
Well, it's definitely not anything for the battle and magic jobs anymore.
No, crafters and gatherers.
Because it used to be a thing for tanks where they would overmeld their gear for like the first part of a raid tier. Mm-hmm. So they would get crafted gear and then meld that.
Oh. But not anymore.
Yeah, like they would add on Vit in the very beginning to survive a little bit easier. And then maybe later they would add on some strength. But you can't overmeld like that anymore.
And that's right, Esper just commented. And now you can extract it now as well. So like that kind of offsets that because you can sell the extracted materia. So yeah. They keep implementing these systems that like where you can get the correct clusters and you can get all these different, and through different means of like playing the game you can get
they've made it much easier to get materia.
Much cheaper to get materia.
Yeah, so from extract it's made it much easier for me melding my crafted gear. The only downside on that is you'll occasionally run into a thing where you need like a tier 4 one or a grade 4 one and you're not getting anything that low when you're extracting materia of the best gear. You're getting 6s and 7s.
Yeah.
So then you might actually have to spend a decent amount of money on like a lower level materia that there just isn't a lot of out there right now. But that's kind of few and far between, and it really doesn't take it out of the game, just moves it.
Exactly, yeah.
So housing, this is my first gil sink idea, Avi. Let me know what you think of it. I don't think I've told you this one yet.
Okay.
To have a housing or plot rent fee for medium and large plots.
I think you talked about this on the podcast.
But I think I might have talked about having it for all housing. I've changed this to only be medium and large.
Okay. So like, so basically just the rich bitches.
Yeah. I'd say 250,000 a month on a medium and $1 million a month for a large. Because I feel like having larger houses does give you a significant advantage in the ability to make gil via gardening.
Okay.
You get the extra plots.
Three plots is a lot. Yeah.
So I'm excluding the small plots because I think everyone should just have access to a house. And that should kind of be like the baseline you're able to have just for having your sub. I think having to pay $1 million a month for my large would at least make me think about gil again.
Yeah, like that would keep people from wanting to have it.
For some of them, definitely, and then some I'm sure would motivate them just to make some more.
I mean, I would even be okay for there to be like a monthly tax for the small houses, even if it's like 50,000 gil a month or something. Just because now I'm thinking about like those free companies that went up and bought entire wards, and so like. Being able to go up and buy an entire ward is one thing, but then being able to pay the rent every month on that entire ward, like they'd have to continue to put effort in. And if they're willing to put that level of effort in, then like I would be a little less, only slightly less spiteful.
Yeah. But like for the larges, if they're having to pay 1 million gil a month to hold on to that large before someone's willing to buy it, how long are you really going to hold that?
And how many people would be willing to buy it knowing how much it's going to continue to cost them?
So I also think that prevents the solo players from owning the large houses.
It'd be more of an FC thing.
It would be more of an FC thing, because if you have 8 people, 1 million a month seems a lot more doable than as a single person.
8 people, that's like a tiny FC too. Like you don't even need like that is, but it's still something you have to be active on, and I do think it would be something like you could just have a company chest and the money would come directly out of the company chest.
And even for the personal house, I would say if you have a retainer and money on the retainer.
No, it would just be like a company chest. You would put the company chest in the house.
Okay, but I mean, to make it easy, I would just have them take it from the retainer if you like didn't put any money into your lockbox or whatever you want to call it.
Oops, sorry, I'm hitting the mic arm. I think it should just be like because I think every house can have a company chest. It's not just, well, maybe not, but it should be something like a company chest, and that's literally like your bank that you're using to pay for your house, and you're allowed to be once you hit 30 days late, like you can be 1 month late, like it's a very like kind of like
it doesn't matter to me what you call it, if it's a retainer, if it's a lockbox, whatever.
I think it needs to be separate from the retainers, because I can see people getting upset that like I didn't want the money to get taken out or something. I just see something.
I think they'd probably be happy that they kept their house if they forgot to put money in.
I don't know, but I feel like also, I mean, if you get butthurt about that, you're like, that was your own fault.
So yeah, I would let someone be 2 months late on rent.
2 months? You are way more generous than me. I was like 30 days.
I would also have this be able to replace the automatic housing demolition system.
Yeah.
So if you were 2 months late, your house would be auto demolished.
If you don't pay your rent, I would still stick with 30 days, maybe 45. But not 2 months.
45. You would have to do at least 45 because that's what the auto demolition is now.
Okay, then keep it there. But you got to pay for that shit.
I'm okay with it being 2 months late.
I'm not as nice as you.
What do you think? Do you think that is a decent gill sink?
I do, and like I said, I actually think I agree with it being for the small houses too. Because so I have 12 million gil. Okay, like just saying how much gil I have on my character. And that is with me putting 0 effort in. That is just me selling everything I gather, spending extra tomes on things I can sell, and just making sure my retainers are always selling stuff. And one of my least favorite things to do in game is to log in and like lower all the items on my retainers because they haven't sold in a while. So like I very rarely do that, even though I know I should do it more often than I do. So if 25,000, 50,000 a month would just make me actively try to earn gil in the game to make sure that I can afford to keep my house or not. And it'll also kind of give you the mindset of if it's too much of a pain in the ass to put the effort into making gil, then maybe you should own a house. Like maybe I'd be like, okay, you know what? I don't use this house enough to like warrant the cost of 50,000 gil a month, so I'm just not gonna do it. Ooh, KK's on deck. He actually like in caps yelled at us that right. He's got an opinion.
Let's bring KKMacleod on deck. It looks like KK has an opinion on gil sinks. How are you doing tonight, KK?
Why this went to my speakers now.
I love it when that happens. Well, wait, while you guys go, I'm actually gonna get myself another drink because my back hurts like a motherfucker, and I'm not taking any muscle relaxers today.
There we go. I fixed it.
All right, KK. So, what struck a chord to have you call in?
I tried last week, but the discussion was getting rather heated, and I figured it might not be the best time.
All right. So, what do you have for us today?
Well, when it comes to the housing, maintenance costs, rent, whatever you want to call it, I can speak from some sort of personal experience and from a common point that Avi would actually have had at some point is the game Lord of the Rings Online has a housing system where you have to pay rent continuously, both on one that's owned by a guild and one that's owned by your own personal house.
Okay.
And you pay that rent and you can pay it a few weeks in advance and stuff like that. The issue I had in that game was Then I went and I deployed for 3 months, and you don't have access to it, and then you lose it. And that's one of the very things that happened to me is that, well, I can't get in here and I can't pay for it, and why should I be punished for not being able to while I'm off, in the desert or something like that. So that
But
was one thing.
if
But
you,
yeah, it is if you have it coming out of your retainer, that is a good improvement.
but I'm saying,
But
how would
with-
that differ from how it is now? If you're not able to log in to at least step into your house, you'd lose it after 45 days, anyways.
Well, what's the current demolition at? And it's almost always on pause right now.
Well, it's
no one.
starting back up in 5.4, but it's 45 days.
So that is, and again, it's a huge problem with stuff like that.
So if it was just by rent, you could fill up your lockbox with 10 million gil, and you could stop playing for a few months if you wanted to. Assuming that replaced the current auto demolition.
If it worked that way, it's a possibility. I'm not sure that people would very much enjoy just using all their money to keep their house, though.
No one would enjoy it. Who wants to pay? Do you enjoy paying your mortgage?
I love it.
Right. I don't love paying my mortgage. Like, your goal is to not. Like,
I love
what
paying it when you compare it to some rents.
Okay, so what if then, rather than there being the one-time cost for the house, you there's a down payment, and then you have to make payments on your house. You don't have the option to pay it off.
Exactly, but do you want to go to work in the game as well and try to figure out and to maintain that? Do you want to go to work and then come home and then go to work?
I mean, aren't you kind of already doing that in the game?
I don't have to.
No, but if you want to raid and you need the raiding food and the raiding potions or whatever, and you're not a crafter, you gotta play the game to make sure that you got the gear to do it. If you don't have the gear to do those contents, you gotta earn those tomes, which is another form of currency, to make sure you can gear your character up. How is it not the same thing as working to survive?
Oh, come on, there's people even in our own raid group that's like, oh, I don't have food. Can you please give me money for food?
And that's capitalism, and
that's because they are spreading themselves a little thin between all their characters.
Exactly. They I wouldn't say to have too many jobs. They have too many houses.
So that's one possibility, but you're not really going to make any of that at all fun, and you're just taking away.
Well,
no.
So can you think of a gill sync though that won't piss people off?
I think it's. Are you against it for everything, all of them, or I had said just the mediums and large? Avi said everything. Would you be okay with just that for the mediums and larges?
Yeah, it's possible, but even still, I'm not really for it, to be honest. I don't think that I think it's just going to anger people a lot more. Now, if you want a gill sync that is going to anger less people, in my opinion, because no matter what you do in the game, if you put 5 dungeons in a patch or 1 dungeon in a patch, someone's going to be mad. It doesn't matter what you do, someone's going to be mad.
Yeah.
What you can do to put gill syncs in the game is you can make a mount that's super expensive. So it's just a mount. Then that's one-time gill sync. You can put a mount in there for 10 million, 50 million gil. That would
so
take out
if the Unreal Challenge mount was, you could either do the Unreal Challenge or you could spend 10 million gil on it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually agree with that. But I want there to be another option. You could either farm the fuck out of it, and it's really difficult, and you need a set group, or to be very, very patient, which I'm not. Or
actually no, because you want to be able to take the money out. So if I just do the whole proper thing, then that's not an incentive to get money out of the game. You need to figure out ways. You need to make something shiny and then say, you want the shiny? Give me all your shinies.
It's true.
And that's what's going to take some money out of the game. Another thing to take money out of the game that you want reoccurring. Now, the rent is reoccurring. That is the one bonus of it as a gill sync. It's just, it sucks. And the player is just going to just be resentful and hate it. And they might just give up the game entirely. You want to take money out of the game.
Would you quit a game entirely because you didn't want to pay rent to own a house?
I can see people being upset because it's something that wasn't there, and then all of a sudden it would be there.
It's hard to do.
In Dark Age of Camelot, it was always there, so people that's the way it was.
Exactly. If it's always there, it's one thing. To try to put it in 5 years later, you're going to piss people off.
Let's
now,
piss them off, especially if they're not going to fix the housing system to like give everyone a house. This will kind of help on getting rid of some.
That's kind of the
plots.
shitty thing with the housing in 14 is that it's stuck in the middle.
Oh, it is. The housing system is going to take a lot to try to get people to some sort of decent, happiness level.
Yeah.
But you want a reoccurring gill sync, and you want it pretty high. And what I think you can do is find old stuff that people aren't really running or don't want to do or just trying to catch up on, and find ways to incentivize them to do it. And I was thinking things like Eureka. Now, in Eureka, you have to earn like light to get crystals. What if there's a potion I could spend 100,000, 200,000 gil on that lasts for 1 hour and it doubles my drop rates or doubles my light gain?
Or even just like, so the Eureka content, like even if people don't want to do it, this is actually something I was thinking is I don't want to do Eureka, but I would like to get that older gear. What if I could just spend gil for the crystals?
Exactly. What does it matter? Anything that's old now, what does it matter if I go in there and I farm Alexander Savage for some old gear?
So essentially, it just needs to not all be tomes.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Make some things skill.
I think I did say that last week, that once it's not the top tome in the game, let everything be bought from Gil.
Well, I'd wait like old expansions. I wouldn't put anything Shadowbringers in something you can buy. But stuff like
it's old already.
Anything that's poetics. Poetics should just be Gil. Poetics is kind of moot.
Well, they can still have it, but have the option to buy with Gil as well. Because I'm okay with people having the option to buy through tomes. But for the people who don't want to farm tomes, let them pay Gil.
I mean, when it comes to the Savage gear, it doesn't matter how many tomes you have. You can't buy it. You can only get it by getting a small group together to go in and unsync some Alexander Savage. Why not just say, you know what? You give me 1 million gil, you can buy the Alexander tank chest piece.
Same with Eureka. Yeah, I agree.
I still would do Savage.
What about like the like mounts for that? Like the Savage mount. I would the older Savage and the Savage mounts and stuff. But like make it 10 million gil, make it 20 million gil, make it a lot.
Pissing off people. I think you'll piss off a lot of people who got that through.
Yeah, you're gonna piss off the 1%.
Yes.
There's also something else that WoW does. It's called the black market, where these older things that are hard to drop. There's some rare mounts that have like a 0.1% chance to drop. So they have a random thing that comes into this black market that people can try to bid on and buy instead of trying to get the 0.1% chance for drop. And they'll just go out and buy some old mount from like 10 years ago or something like that.
That's really cool. Kind of like what they did back in the day. They gave you like the Rowena sort of token thing and you got like the black bathing suit. Kind of like that, where you would get those tokens and those particular, you could buy the tokens with Gil and then those tokens could be used to purchase those like rare items. That's a very easy thing to implement in the game because then you're not having to change the currency used for the items. It's just to like add that token to be part of it, and then those tokens can be purchased with Gil.
So one of the things that they're doing lately is they're using those Moogle tomestones. They say, hey, go run Praetorium 20 times to earn all these tomestones to buy some old doggo whistle that, people aren't really farming right now. You could put that onto a rotating market board and then say, here, drop 1 million gil on it and you can have it. It doesn't matter. We don't, hey, they don't care if you spend, a day farming prey to get 100 tomes to buy it. So why do they care if you spend 10 million gil on it?
The reason in my opinion, with that they care that you spent that much time farming prey is because to Square Enix, your time is money. Your gil is not money.
And they want it. They want people to run it, so any new players get a quick queue for it.
But like I like the idea of adding things like the Savage content to the Moogle tomes. Like even if they added like this like one Savage chest piece of your choice from whatever, version of Savage.
I still wouldn't add Savage because I feel if I see someone wearing something from Savage, I feel like I want to know that they're a decent player, and I know people can get carried through Savage.
Well, then you call it a replica, Pete. That's the answer. Boom, done.
Yeah, but I don't examine people.
You're the 1%.
But true, but in this case, like some of the old Savage, you can get some people together to just kind of like cheese their way through anything that's old Savage. Anything that's new, you don't want to do that on. But something like old Alexander, I mean, we kind of mucked our way through, what is that, A4 and 12 to get the mounts, and we barely knew what we were doing.
And in the old turns, they actually did release the replica gear to the market board.
Mhm.
So it is what they could literally just make a vendor, an in-game vendor not related to the market board that would sell replica Savage gear, and you had to spend gil on it. They would have to make it more expensive than they make stuff in the game right now.
I agree with that for the most part. Kind of tagging on to that, you know, I know there's some pieces of gear that aren't dyeable. What if they made everything dyeable, but you had to pay to make that piece dyeable?
That's another possibility.
That is, but
They
that's
just-
dev time. That's more dev time than taking existing stuff and just like being boom, pay gil for it.
You don't have to make it dye well.
But I think one of the main keys is you want something that is rebuyable, something that is a reusable item, so that you'll continuously spend. Like that's why I was thinking of some sort of potion or buff that's going to make it so that you can earn double the crystals, double the this, double the that.
Yeah.
In older content, it maybe can get people into some of the older content. And you know, what if I had something that would make my something for.
I also think it'd be good if individuals would be able to, like, if you're not in an FC, you'd be able to buy basically what are the FC buffs yourself with gil and have those
Or
buffs
raid
up.
gear. Remember how freaking hard I ran Circus Tower just to get some pants?
Exactly. That's some old pair of pants that
We were
it's
undersizing it. Like there
Yep.
were 4 of us running that, like 3 of us I think at one time running that. And yeah, if I could have dropped 1.5 million gil on a pair of pants, I would have gladly paid that for those pants rather than run it that many times. And I don't spend that much on a glamour.
So what do you
So-
think is your limit? What are you paying for a chest piece? What are you paying for pants?
No. There's a difference in what your limit is right now in game versus making this harder to obtain gear.
No, I'm saying, like, you just said you would pay 1.5 million for it.
Mhm.
What was the was that your maximum you'd be willing to pay for that?
For something I could get that easily, like I could do that with 3 people, it would just be time consuming. Yeah. But if it's like old Savage content or something, I think you can go up to like 5 million, get 2 to 5. Like make it a real luxury item. Make it back in the game when it used to. The one thing in 14, because glamour is so prevalent, the one thing 14 has kind of lost is that, like, seeing a character wear a certain piece of gear and being like, oh my god, that person's a badass. So, like, even if your badassery is because you've spent a shit ton of gil, it'd still be kind of cool to see, like, either they're a badass because they beat that content or a badass because they spent a shit ton of gil.
So there should be like a fucking like opulent robe with all these rubies and have it cost 1 billion gil.
That's too much, but
I think that'd be awesome. There'd be like 3 people that have it.
I mean, it'd be funny. What do you think?
It would
KK?
just be called "I'm rich, bitch."
But yeah, you don't have to make new stuff for it either. You can just take.
Oh, you cut out KK. Oh, looks like KK has disconnected altogether.
Take it and make replica versions of older things. I know I'm going like super expensive, but that's because I'm trying to say like make major gil sinks. But I do think it would be I would pay 1.5 million gil for those goddamn Circus Tower pants. Like, yep, easily. And I did it again for my caster. I got my caster pants and I got my healer
I don't think you
pants.
unsync that. Can you unsync?
Undersized. Sorry.
Can you undersize?
You can't unsync, but you can undersize, but you have to be in 3 separate parties.
Oh.
So that you each go in. You were part of it. And then on our second run,
I
Pete,
don't pay attention.
you won the healer pants and you gloated for like a week because you got the pants I wanted, but because we were in 3 separate alliances, I couldn't roll on them because they went into your party. See, he's like getting to gloat again.
Sucker. All right, so I think there are some good ideas in there. I still like the housing rent, even though KK was not a fan of that.
I actually, so as much as I was like agreeing with your idea that it's a good idea, I agree with KK. You can't implement it now.
You can do whatever you want.
It'll piss people off. KK, I think that's the best use of the bullshit emote I've ever seen.
If you still have something you want to say, feel free to jump back in the On Deck channel, KK.
Also, the Apkallu is back and being super adorable right now is like the 3rd host. It's KK.
All right. So one idea that was brought up in our Discord that I liked the ability, but it was more of a one-time thing, not a recurring thing, was the ability to buy more glamour plates with gil. and I'm sure there's a lot of people that would really love that.
I would pay that.
Um,
I would pay rent for that.
So to have extra glamour plates, you'd pay how much a month? So let's say you get 5 extra glamour plates.
Up to 5? 10,000 a month for each?
Oh, per glamour. So if
well,
you
it's
want,
but like your first payment's a lot. But then after that,
you have to buy it for like $1 million, but then you have a monthly thing to keep it up.
Yeah, but more than 10,000 if there's 5 and then it's 50,000 a month, like 10,000 a month isn't a big deal, but 50,000 a month is a big deal. So I feel like 10 for that would be like, and or housing item slots. Yeah, Phoenix like to have more housing, to be able to put more stuff in your house. I don't know how they would make that work.
Yeah, that goes back to more dev time.
Yeah, that's part of the issue of them making the houses like not like a neighborhood, the whole neighborhood thing. God, I would love to be able to put more in our yard. Like, yeah, I feel you on that, hun.
The only thing I see a problem with like the glamour plates and housing items is,
can I pay more gil to have Vieira have more hairstyles? Because I would still, and Rothgar.
The problem I see is they'd see a lot of people doing that and they're like, hey, why don't you just buy this one-time fee for $5? So
that's the problem, is that anything that could be a gil sync is a cash shop item. Like the old seasonal items are all cash shop items. Those would all be like when the holiday items come out and you could buy these old Christmas trees and stuff. And if you had to spend, 25,000 gil per Christmas tree, people would like stock up. Because you could only buy them from the previous season's event using their special tokens. I think
you got to go like 250K.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, if this was like a normal thing with every single seasonal event, yes, but Square Enix saw it as a way to make money, and so it's a cash shop item, and so it's never going to be a gil sync.
Glamour plates would definitely be a cash shop item.
So be a cash shop item.
If you're making us upgrade our servers so you can have this, you're paying for it.
Mm-hmm. I would even just be happy if every job could have 2. Like, you didn't even have like a bunch of glamour plates. It's like you equipped a job and it's like, you're now playing Bard, you have 2 glamour plates. You're now playing Tank, you have 2 glamour plates. Like how Bard is a job, but for me Tank in itself is a job.
How many jobs do we have now?
A lot.
16, something like
There's
that?
There's quite a few.
So that'd be 32 glamour plates.
That'd be a lot. Well, but they could limit it to like, you have 2 healing, 2 tank, 2 ranged.
So kind of by roll.
No, but then that's probably what we have right now. Actually, it needs to be per job.
Okay, so the last thing I had was kind of one that I just thought of recently. So it's still more of a seed. It's not very
17. You were close.
Not very fleshed out. I think it would be cool if there were places in cities and towns throughout the world that would have something like a statue or a fountain be able to be added to it, like adding a fountain or statue to somewhere in Ul'dah. But the premise would be that we need to raise money for them to build the statue or the fountain or whatever. So players would donate gil to get that piece built.
Sort of like the Valentine's Day event where we had to pick our character to pick the color for the decorations, right?
Yeah, so it would be a fountain, but maybe you donated in name of your favorite deity or something like that. And then the fountain would be themed around that deity, or like, if we're sticking with Ul'dah, there's a statue and they have to decide between Raubon and Nanamo. So you're donating gil on behalf of one of them, what you want the statue to be.
The only thing is, I think it would only work if the statue or the fountain were temporary. So I think rather than it being something that seems as permanent as a statue, it would be like the decorations for a seasonal event.
It could be a statue, but it's an MMO. It doesn't have to always be realistic. You could be like, hey, we're demolitioning this statue. We're gonna build something new.
I know, but that's just like weird. Like if the decorations, if you're paying, I don't see people wanting to pay gil for that.
If it's gonna be demolished, then you have to have an appropriate price for it. If it's not going to be demolished, then I think you can have a very high price on it.
Even so, with an item like that, it feels too much like Restoration of Ishgard, where this game just isn't built that way. And the game is just built in a way where it's like, people will be like, why now do I have to pay gil when before I could just like put my time in?
But, it's nothing that they've ever really had in the game. This would be completely new, so they could do whatever they wanted with it.
But it doesn't feel like it because of Restoration of Ishgard.
But Restoration of Ishgard, can you even like talk
And
about like?
we have had something like it because I just mentioned like the Valentine's Day event where we put our time in and we voted.
Like, that's nothing that's still in the game. This is going to be a more permanent thing.
I see the reason I'm being contradictory toward it is I see the player base not being happy about it. That's it.
I mean, if you're not happy, you just don't do it.
That is not. Do you even play this
No,
game?
like, what else would they say? Like, we need to build a fountain. We need to raise funds for it.
People would bitch and complain about the fact that they want it to be a certain way and the fact that they're upset that the only way they can do it is through Gil. They would want.
So the only way you can do Restoration of Ishgard is through fucking crafting.
But no, it's not though, because all of the items that you can earn through crafting, you can also buy with Gil on the market board.
Yeah, but there's no market board things, and this is just like get a thing.
You literally just like passed over what I just said. Yes, Ishgard of Restoration of Ishgard is either you put the effort in, you craft it, or you don't, and like 98% of those items are sellable on the market board, and you spend the Gil on it.
But this
game always does like one or the other.
This is a vanity thing. This isn't like.
Why are you getting upset at me and not liking
I'm
your
just
like
explaining it to you.
Oh.
It's like it's not like you're physically getting anything. No one's getting anything from this. It's just something that's going to be in the world.
I don't think it would go over well with the player base.
I'm just trying to get out. I mean, a lot of the player base won't do this because I agree. They're not going to see value in this. But there's going to be some whales out there. I'm trying to get this money away from the whales out there.
It's harder to get money away from the whales than it is the Gen Pop. You get the Gen Pop to spend, and then the whales
But the thing, it's like the Gen Pop isn't the problem right now.
Right.
It's people having a small amount of people having too much money. The 1%, as you've all been calling me.
The thing is, I mean, if you're going to go in like to that sort of a conversation, it goes into like the economy conversation, which I don't really want to talk about because I don't find that fun. The problem with the economy IRL is getting the 1% to spend more of their money. And even in real world situations, they haven't found a solution for that. So I don't know why you think that it will be so easy to find a solution for something essentially real world.
I'm just spitballing ideas.
You got grumpy at me when I said it wouldn't work.
Didn't get grumpy at you. I also think it'd be cool to like sponsor stuff like Busk Around Druthers, like presented by Vegan Pete, and you could like buy your name onto the what do you call it? Storefront sign thing.
Signage.
Mm-hmm. And it'd be like a monthly auction or something. You pay something to get your name on the billboard for a month.
So Caterpan says, I'll throw something out there. I have enough gil where I really don't care to farm, craft, or sell stuff. If I had a gil sink somewhere, I might get involved in those activities again and maybe keep the economy alive a bit more.
Which is basically where I am right now. That's why I'm giving all my money away. So I have a reason to go back and craft and do all that stuff.
But everyone thinks you're crazy.
No one thinks I'm crazy. They all love it. They're going to get free shit. You're going to get Gil. Chili's going to get Gil. Paul's going to get Gil. Whole raid crew's going to get Gil.
You like just give us potions and meals, except that it's all going to change. So don't do that.
Like vegan pizza.
Ginger jams. I just joined the game. I'll take some Gil. Honestly, hey, whenever I meet somebody and they just started playing the game, first thing I do is give them Gil. Because the game is boring without Gil, but it's easy to make once you've got some.
Yeah, that's going to be something I do. Just giving Gil the Greenleafs. Not going to be millions.
I actually love... I will very easily... if I meet a Greenleaf and we have a great conversation, I'll give him 100k easily. Just because it's more fun with Gil.
All right. Any last Gil sync ideas you want to throw out there,
Caterpan says, can I buy a voucher to make my retainers return faster? That's actually a really good idea. Can I charge for every heal? KK, that would be Chili saying, can I charge to not have to heal and then DPS?
So I feel like we could probably go through like mobile games and stuff, and like everything that they charge like 99 cents for, we can probably apply to this game and somehow like to charge Gil with.
Yeah, like things to... if you could pay Gil to make your retainers return faster, your squadron return faster, all that kind of stuff, people would pay Gil for that.
You have to make sure it's See, I wouldn't do that because then
They can make more gil,
that
essentially.
borders on pay to win.
Allowing players to use gil to purchase game time. I agree with that too. That is something, like I said, that WoW
They'd lose
does.
a lot of money.
WoW does that. At least they did do that. I have a friend who's like, I don't have to pay for my sub on WoW for the next 10 years because I made so much gold. So yeah, but it is a, yeah. Discord is broken now. Sorry, KK. I really enjoyed your input.
Yeah, I don't see Square Enix ever letting us use gil to convert to. I don't know. Maybe if they ever deemed that there was too much gil in the economy in that interview they had, they said they make adjustments. I don't know if I completely believe that or not.
I just think their math is wrong. They can make adjustments, but if your adjustments are based off of incorrect math, then your adjustments don't matter.
If they were making adjustments, then we should definitely at points have time where like it was a 25% tax on the market board or something like that. But it'd have to be like some sort of crazy conversion where it'd be like 10 million gil for $1 or something like that.
Can I just say that I still really love this Apkallu minion so much?
All right, Avi. In lieu of doing your sightseeing log, how much gil are you paying for the Apkallu minion?
I would drop probably 500k on him.
That's it?
Yeah. But I'm cheap.
Come on. I thought you liked it.
No, because I'm cheap. I have 12 million gil in this game, and I put 0 effort into making more gil. So I don't spend gil on vanity items. But 500k, he makes me. God damn, he makes me happy. He just ran by like, I know, bitch.
That Apkallu is at least worth 12 million.
No, I don't. I would actually do if he was like 1 million gil, I would actually do the sightseeing logs. Now that you can fly in a Realm Reborn, and I can make you go to places and let me ring to you. He is Cater Pants. He's just putting around like, Ree! I'm on a podcast. Hey guys, are we talking over here? No, we're talking over here. My name is Petrie, and I am the cutest little Apkallu ever. I'm the 3rd host of the She Heals I Take podcast. Oh shit, I'm talking to a wall right now.
All right, now it looks like we have a new correspondent on the show we'll go to occasionally.
I love him so much.
Now from now on, I'm just going to go like to you at random, being
Petrie.
like, what does Petrie have to say? And you got to do that voice.
You have to have the minion out for that to work, but I'm really happy today. You see my little jump? I'm fucking awesome.
So unless you have any more gil sinks, Avi, I think we're on to the next part. You don't? No, I'm just saying. I'm asking if you have any more.
No,
Okay.
I didn't actually have any. I more just had commentary in regards to what you had.
So we have an interview to discuss.
I do want to do. Cater Pinch just said, sorry. I want to get 15 of them loose into a major important board and like just run around. And I would love to like actually have people work together and get their freaking sightseeing logs so we can have just a shit ton of Apkallus running around. Because that would make me so happy.
I had an interview to discuss, but I think it's going to be too long to get to in this episode, so we'll save that for next week.
And sorry to hear that Comcast is sucking for more people, Ginger.
Yeah.
No fun. Whee!
So let's get to the community roundup, partner. And Avi, this one's going to help you with your Realm Reborn sightseeing log.
Woohoo!
There's a site you can go to. It's tillion.net/sslog.
I'll post that in the chat room.
This is made by Reddit user cute-kitsune. So you go to this site, and then you'll have a list of all of the sightseeing logs in A Realm Reborn. And then you can select an option just to show you like what's up during this current time that it is right now and the weather conditions. And then it tells you you have, 7 minutes to make it to this one.
I remember because Pete was playing 14 and he was like, I was like, hey, Bubba, how about blah, blah, blah. He's like, I have 1 minute to get this done. I was like, what the fuck? In Final Fantasy 14, do you have 1 minute to get something done? And then he explained the sightseeing logs to me, but I thought it was hilarious. So this site will help you so much because so much of your Realm Reborn sightseeing log is like doing the nodes that are like on a time limit, but it's like one step further because you have to care about weather and all that other bullshit.
And so once you do one, you can just check the box that you've done it, so it won't show up again.
Oh, this person's wonderful.
So yeah, it's really amazing. And because the hardest thing about these is they're only up at a certain
Wait,
time.
so I think when I clicked your link, I like got all the ones that you've. Oh no, they haven't been checked off yet.
Yeah,
I see.
so
Oh,
they
they're
should-
green when you need to do it, when you can do them.
So yeah, and you can like hide certain ones, and yeah. But sometimes you need like a weather condition leading into another weather condition. So
Oh my god, that is so MMO. I was gonna say so dumb, but that is so MMO. Like that is like old school shit right there. So well done. Thank you for creating that site. Cute
Kitsune. So if you're interested in doing the Realm Reborn sightseeing logs, that site will help you immensely. That will be in the show notes, so you can just check that out.
I bet that like Square Enix is gonna have like an influx of people actually doing the Realm Reborn ones because people can fly now. And they're like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Does make it easier. You still do have to,
and it has screenshots.
Yeah, so if you can click on it and it'll show you a description, and then there's an image link. Because sometimes it's hard to know just from the description. So you can click the image and then they'll show exactly where they're standing for the vista. I don't know how people figured this shit out the first time for these Realm Reborn sightseeing logs, because some of them are in some random ass locations. And I don't know if people like figured this out due to data mining or something.
Because there's no like little shiny circle like there is now.
In a Realm Reborn, it's not. Yeah,
you just have to know where to go.
It's
magic,
insane. Like,
black magic.
I don't know how people did it. If it wasn't through any sort of like data mining, they were able to figure out like the XY coordinate or something like that. Because some of these are in just some random ass locations.
I salute you players who figured that shiz out. You are
And then
amazing.
there's other ones where I'd get to them and I'd be like, how did I not like just get the? Because when you run over a vista, it tells you like you've arrived at a vista. And some of them are like, I've run by this place a million times. How come I never told? Because I guess it's only during a certain time. So
only
if you miss
a certain time,
certain
weather,
certain time or weather, you're fucked.
But good to know.
But yeah, so that's what I did this week, and I actually had a decent amount of fun doing that.
Yes, I got yelled at. He was having so much fun, I had to shut up.
I only have a minute to do something, and it's a jump puzzle. You better shush.
Yeah, I like that actually tells me you're having fun. I sound like I'm being like crabby, but no, I was like, oh, he's actually giving a shit. Okay.
I'm like, I don't know when this is gonna be up again.
Gotta do it right now.
So yeah, I had fun doing that. I also finished off I already had Heaven's Ward done, surprisingly, but I finished off Stormblood and Shadowbringers. Those were a lot easier. I already had a lot of those because you see that glowy orb and you just go do it.
Yeah.
So I had most of those already. I maybe had like 10 of each of them to do. So I got done with those pretty quickly. But you didn't get any sort of reward for those.
I love chat right now because Sater's like, some of these legit have like a 3-minute window, and Caterpans is like, last time I told my wife I only had 1 minute. Like, yeah. Mic bump.
With that,
did I mention I went and got another drink because my back hurts?
With that mic bump, we're gonna get to listener reaction. And I'm sorry, I was still kind of like off social media. I haven't been at work, and I seem like I'm off social media more when I'm off work.
That
like,
sounds so bad.
Like at work, I'm like, I'm gonna check Twitter. I'm gonna tweet out some stuff. At home, I'm like, I'm watching Clone Wars.
Yeah, I haven't seen you like at all.
Because I want to know more when I'm watching Mandalorian. So a little bit of listener reaction this week. Michael from Micro Break Podcast says, another great episode, guys. Thanks so much for the shout out and mention in the tweet of the week segment. At She Heals, I Tank rocks.
You rock. Shit rock. I read that as shit rocks, and I was like, that sounds like a painful poop. But I was trying to not.
Checks social media at work more too.
Yeah, it happens. All right, so
hopefully I'll be back at work
on
next
that
week.
Productivity note. That is going to be it for this episode. As always, we've enjoyed hanging out with all of you live here on Twitch, especially Apkallu. Petrie, you are my best friend. I love you and I want to adopt you. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Be sure to hit that follow button so you know the next time we will be going live. And of course, a great big thank you to everyone listening to the podcast through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, or, YouTube. And I'm sure there's an app that's going to come out tomorrow that the government's going to try to like get disbanded like TikTok. You mean
we're not going to be in Parler?
You really are the reason we keep making episodes. And remember, wherever you do listen, it would mean a shit ton to us if you gave our little shit podcast a rating or a review. Or, tell a friend to check us out. Here with Vegan Pete, I am Avi Ale, and we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.